I was overjoyed to see the way you had organized this beautiful welcome. I must say that it's your love which finds all kind of expressions of enjoying Sahaja Yoga. I really can't understand how these unique ideas come to your heads and you represent the different countries from where you have come. I wish you carry these flags back to your own country and tell them the message that the time has come for our resurrection, that we have to rise. We have to rise above this human level to a higher level of existence. And if that happens, then how it changes your life, how it makes you happy, how you lose all your absurd ideas of hatred and of harming others, injuring others. All this kind of ideas which have worked out to give some sort of a sadistic pleasure to many people, and they have enjoyed the way they want to destroy the joy of others, the happiness of others. To maintain the happiness, I know, you being Sahaja Yogis, you have to bear a lot, tolerate a lot of nonsense. You have already done it. And gradually, once Sahaja Yoga is established in your own countries as something that is so beautiful, so very pure, so very important, that all others in your countries also will try to follow that path which you have crossed over. Only your lives are the ones which will reflect the beauty of your inner being and of Sahaja. I told you yesterday what was missing in the human awareness, and that the attention was not on the spirit. But when it is on the spirit, what happens to you? Firstly, you become, according to Sanskrit words, gunatit. You go beyond all the three gunas. That means you are no more a person who is tamoguni, means the one who has got all kinds of desires of self-indulgence. Your attention moves from there to the second style where you are rajoguni, the right-sidedness. You want to do something, want to show something, you want to become something, you want to compete with others. All this struggle just disappears. Atit means beyond. Then sattva guna. That is also where you are seeking, where you see that what's wrong in this kind of extreme behavior. And you just hate that kind of life. And you want to get out of it, and then you start seeking. that also is finished. All the gunas are finished. So you become gunatit. It just happens when your attention goes to your spirit. Because now the attention is not on anyone of your inherent, we can say, or conditioned qualities or of egoistical qualities. So you become a person who is beyond this. This is something very remarkable as far as for normal life, but for you it is not. It just happens. You just enjoy being yourself. You're no more concerned about your own conveniences, comforts, and petty things. But what happens is that you just go beyond all these three gunas which have been dominating you this way or that way. So that's how you cross the limit of human awareness, firstly. Then the second one is you become kalatit. You go beyond time. I know today I was late somehow. It just works out that way. But you didn't miss the time. You are still enjoying. I could see sitting in the house that you are all in a very enjoyable mood. All of you are enjoying nicely. I am not here, but still you are enjoying. This is beyond. You are not bound by time. Whatever is the time is your own. Because you are standing in the present. You are not standing here and thinking of the future. You didn't think about what will happen tomorrow, or how will you catch your plane, or how will you do this. Here you are just enjoying the present. And the present is the reality. If you are thinking of the future or of the past, then you are not in reality. I have told many a times that past is finished and future doesn't exist. So at this moment, you are here sitting, perhaps maybe waiting for me, maybe just enjoying every moment of your stay here, of your connections with others. And this enjoyment cannot be described. How you are enjoying this? Otherwise, people would be seeing the watch, wondering why mother has not come, what is the problem, why she is not arrived, and all kinds of ideas come over. It helps a lot to be kalatit. I remember in Nasik, I had to work very hard because no Sahajogi would come forward to do anything. They were so shy and so much worried. And it so happened, luckily or unluckily, we can say, that my car failed on the way and I was delayed in going. About 1 hour passed. There was no car coming that way, there's no way to go. And we were stranded on the road. Now surprising, when I reached the place where we were going to have the program, the Sahajogis took over. They took the responsibility. And they were very busy giving realizations to others and working it out. Otherwise they would not. They could not believe that they have power to give realization. I may tell them, but they would not raise their hands. And just because the time was there and they thought so many people are here, mother is not coming or she may be coming, so it's our responsibility. In that way, they took the responsibility. So when you are beyond the time, you become responsible for that moment. It's such a responsibility which is also collective. Means you just, all of you become responsible. It's very surprising. We are so many here. There's no quarrel, no fight, nothing. We are very nicely settled down, just beyond all kinds of stupid ideas of attacking each other. That happens because you are not involved with the time. The time cannot bow you down. Perhaps if it were not you people, some other people, they would have thrown stones on my car, thinking, so late she comes, we are here boiling in the heat. They would have resented. But not the people who are beyond time. They are nicely sitting down, enjoying themselves. It doesn't matter, the time passes. Then you become dharmatit. You become beyond dharma, beyond your human nature. That means whatever you do is religious. Whatever is your endeavor is religious. If, say, you are in a business, you would like to do business in a religious manner because you are beyond religion. You are not bothered as to follow a particular pattern or ritual of any religion. But you are beyond it. Like people who are, not beyond religion. They must get up early in the morning. They are bound by their rituals and they pass through the rituals, and if one of the rituals is not done, they are very unhappy and shaken up. But not you. For you, you are always in dhyan, always in meditative mood. And anything goes wrong, you just jump into that awareness where you get the solution. And you are not disturbed at all when things go wrong. Like ritualistic nature makes you very constricted, very docile, sometimes can be aggressive also. People with their ritualism trouble others a lot. Like one lady who was supposed to be our friend came to my house. So she said, I am a vegetarian. I said, then, but I can't eat the food in which non-veg food has been cooked. I said, all right. So we'll have to get new utensils. So I went and bought new utensils for her. So she said that you have to be careful that even the spoon should not be used. So I had to go and get her for her spoon. Then she said tumblers, because people are taking food here who are eating non-veg food. So you better get us something which is absolutely new. So I had to incur all these problems. And then she was in the kitchen and she wouldn't allow our cook to cook anything for us. She said, first I will cook and then you can cook. And she made such a nuisance out of her that instead of being a guest, she became a pest. And this is what happens to people who are ritualistic, because they are very demanding. They go on demanding that this is our dharma. I know of another story, was told to me by somebody in Bombay. She said this lady who came to me as a guest because she was related to something very high up, she was worse than my great-great-great-grandmother. I said, really? He said, I can't understand that in India we have such people still living. She came here and she said, I cannot take water from the tap. You have to get it from some sort of a well. Now there are only 2 wells in Bombay. So people had to go and fetch the water. But the cook had to be completely drenched in water, and then only he could cook, because if he cooks without that, then I won't eat. And she went on and on and on that. And the cook got sick with pneumonia. Another cook came and he got flu, you see. This lady didn't mind. She said, no, that's my style. So she asked me, what should we do with such people, mother? I said, you should have asked her that we have this thing. If you like it, well and good. Otherwise, you don't eat. It's all right, good. Fasting is a very good thing. That's the only solution for such people who are so self-centered and so much bothering others. So this self-centeredness comes to us because we think this is our dharma, this is our right, this is everything belongs to us. How dare they do not do it? How much we trouble others, how much we make them inconvenient, how much we try to make their lives miserable, we never think. We go on demanding things. This is my dharma, what can I do? This is what I have to do. But it becomes such a conditioning of the mind that I have seen many cases in Sahaja Yoga who got conditioned like that. There was a lady, French lady, who came to Sahaja Yoga, and her mother was very ritualistic to begin with. And she was so troublesome that she must go to church every Sunday. She would dress up well, go to church and come back. And one day she just disappeared. So they told the police to find out this lady. And when he went to find out the lady, the police said that we can't find her, God knows where she is disappeared. Then she said, all right, go and find out in the church. She was still sitting in the church. Next time again she disappeared. It happened 3-4 times. So the police said, sir, we have finished with her. Now if you want, you can put her in the old people's house and that's all. So they sent her to an old people's house. So this Sahajogini told me, mother, very surprising. They are otherwise very stupid people. They go on sitting, brooding, talking nonsense like mad. They have all become senile. And their senile decay very well seen. But what happens? That on a Sunday they all dress up well and go to church. That's the only point where they are safe. It's very surprising how the conditioning works. There was one person I had who came and stayed with us and he said, I'm a very good driver. So I said, all right. But he only knew driving, he didn't know about London, what sort of a place London is. Now he knew the driving very well. But if I had to go to the north, he'll drive me to the south. If I have to go to the east, he'll drive me to the west. I said, what's the matter? You know driving. Yes, I know driving. That I know. But I don't know anything about road. I have no road sense. One day the police caught hold of him. I was also in the car. He said, where are you going? He said, I am going to such and such place. So he said, now you have been to this place 6 times. Again you are coming back to the same point 6 times. So in the old age, I have known that these things form a kind of a habit. But in young age also you can find people get so conditioned by their style. So this is what you can call the human element where you get attached or get bothered about something. Now it's a kind of a, I should say, a madness. That somebody demands this, somebody demands that, I don't like this, I don't like that. It goes on and on and on. It's so common to say, I don't like, I like. It is very surprising that they go on saying like this. They go to somebody's house, no, I don't like this carpet. It's not your carpet. You not purchased it. This person has purchased the carpet. What have you got to do? Why should you say I don't like? Who are you? You have not paid for you. The one who has paid likes it, finished. Why do you want to pass your remarks? I don't like. Are you a conniser? So to criticize others. Somebody is wearing, supposing the hair in a way, but I don't like this kind of hairdress. Why? I don't like, that's all. Then it goes from there to human beings and everyone. Who are you to like or dislike? What is your position? Why should you say, I like or don't like? But it's very common, especially in the West, to pass such remarks. I don't like. I don't like India. All right. If you don't like, sit at home. Why did you come in? I don't like Turkey. Why? Because if supposing anybody is wearing a long skirt, they'll say, no, I don't like, because it is Turkish. So you should only wear short skirts. We don't like short skirts, supposing. But one should not say that, I don't like it, because it hurts people. It takes away the pride of the person. Now when you are in Sahaja Yoga, you must know that you are not normal human being, according to the normal standards. You are above them. Your likes and dislikes are different from them. And your whole attitude has changed. Sometimes you are just like children as. You talk like small little children, very innocently. And sometimes you talk very profound things. Now this is unknown to people who are supposed to be normal. Because normal people, they are so bombastic, all the time they go on saying, I. Kabira has said that when a goat is living, she goes on saying, meh, means I. But when she's dead and her intestines are drawn into a kind of a wire for, we call dhunak, means with which they separate the seeds from the cotton, that time what she says, tu hi, you are. You are everything. When you say that, immediately your attention goes away from others, finding faults with them, finding what's wrong with them, using your brains all the time to criticize others, to make fun of others, sometimes even to talk ill of others. People enjoy gossips. Why? They enjoy gossip because they don't know that another person is the same as myself, and I have no business to gossip about that one. So this understanding, I should say this loving wisdom doesn't exist when you are a normal human being. At the slightest provocation, you can get angry, start doing all kinds of things, just like a bull in the china shop, you can behave anyway. Suddenly you find them just growing up into that. The reason for that is you are not yet a Sahaja Yogi. But Sahaja Yogi is a person who enjoys all kinds of things. Say somebody becomes very angry and hot-tempered. He also sees that, what is happening, how he is being. So actually, it is not a dharma that you get angry with someone. It's not. It is something very low to be angry with others, to be all the time shouting at others, to be exacting things from others, or to criticize others, thinking you are something great. And this doesn't pay. By the time you come to the end of life, you'll find you haven't got one friend, one neighbor. Another thing is that when you are very egoistical, you think no end of yourself. And you go on talking, jabbering, and the another person just gets bored stiff, but still you are talking about, I did this, I went there, I. It goes to any limit, and you are not ashamed as to what you are saying. I have seen people who have taken to all kinds of funny attitudes towards others when they are just normal human beings. If somebody says something wrong about somebody says that that person is like this, I know, he did this way. Immediately it goes into their mind, yes, true. Now that makes your mind a sick mind. We can say vikrut, where the mind is not normal. You become sick and you accept all this sickness and go on accepting it till you are a sick person. And this sickness is extremely dangerous. Not for others so much as for yourself. Because nobody can stand such a sick personality. Now you might say, I have seen people who have taken to religion. Like now, I am a religious person, suppose. Now, you better be religious. So what? You can't do this, you can't do that, you cannot sit here, you cannot eat this is important. All try time to discipline others instead of disciplining yourself. Because when you are a normal person, you don't see yourself. You just see others. But once you are a realized soul, you just start watching yourself and see for yourself what's true. Now, after becoming the spirit, in the light of the spirit, you see yourself. You just see yourself. What happens? How you behave. And how you enjoy yourself when you know how to correct yourself. It's very sweet. Little things you do in such a beautiful manner, and you say such beautiful things. Of course, there are people who cannot be corrected, incorrigible. So also, you should just see this is incorrigible. You can't help it. Like in Sahaja Yoga, we have some people who are all the time trying to help the wrong type of people. Like they have taken a power of attorney in Sahaja Yoga. So, if somebody tries to be funny, we expect a telephone call from that power of attorney. After 2 hours, he tells, now, please tell mother that such and such person is to be looked after, this has to be done, that has to be. It's absolutely a habitual thing with them to inform me that no, you must help, you must do something. But now it has become such a common practice, we know that he will just now come along and give us a big lecture on this subject. So, you see, it's a nature of a human being which has been going through the different types of complications in life. Also born with some genes or something, that he is not a very normal person, though we say normal. Because the way he reacts, the reaction that he shows, is very absurd. There's no need for anybody to telephone to me to tell me that, you see, this man is such and such, you better look after. Unnecessarily to interfere with others' affairs when you have no authority, when you have nothing to do with that person. All sorts of, I can tell you, designs are there that has been made into the minds of human beings. And these designs all disappear. Just disappear. I don't know how they get all these designs, from where they get it. maybe their country, maybe their family, maybe their genes, whatever you may say. All this disappears, even your genes change. That is what is Sahaja Yoga. Where you become the spirit, everything changes. And what happens to you? That you become a person who knows what is joy, who enjoys joy, who enjoys existence, who gives joy to others, makes others happy, all the time thinks how to make others. Just it happens. Though you are brought up the same way as others are, though you are being educated the same way maybe, but all that disappears and you become a wise, beautiful, joyous person. It's something that you have achieved of which you may not be aware. The way you are enjoying in this scout ground. No other group could have enjoyed as you have enjoyed. I can see what you are doing here and how you are enjoying. How you are enjoying the company of others is very remarkable. And that has come because your heart is full of joy of the spirit that shines within. You can examine yourself and see for yourself whatever I am saying is there or not. Of course, there are some people who think to end of themselves, they are staying in a hotel or some lodge or something. They are not enjoying. They still think that they are something great, so they must stay somewhere like that. Very surprisingly, especially Indians I have seen, when they come to Kabela, they all want to stay in a hotel. In their lives, they might be having one bathroom in their house. But when they come to Kabela, they want to stay in a hotel with attached bath, with this, with that. Young people, it's very surprising. It happens because I think they have never seen a good hotel, or maybe that they have lived in a very bad condition. But a person who is a Sahaja Yogi can live anywhere, can sleep anywhere. Only thing is that his spirit is there to make him happy. Nothing else. That is the one that gives you happiness. All these other ideas that human beings have, which have created problems after problem. Now you see, because you belong to a different religion, you are bad. If you want to know about the Christians, you better go and ask the Jews. And if you want to know about the Jews, better go and ask the Muslims. And if you want to know about the Muslims, go and ask the Hindus. You'll be amazed how they talk about other people, as if all of them are bad and they are the best. So this whole attitude changes completely. You forget it. Who is what, whose religion is what, from what sort of family they come in, from what is the background they are coming in. They become just one with each other. What they enjoy is the company of all the Sahaja Yogis. All the Sahaja Yogis are there, that's all. So many Sahaja Yogis will be there. And that is the Mecca, that is the Kumbh Mela, that you can call anything freedom. The collective joy that you enjoy has come to you because you have crossed that barrier which has stopped you from seeing the truth. The truth is, as I said yesterday, that you are the spirit. And once you become the spirit, you become Gunatit, Kalatit and Dharmatit. Once you cross these limits, then you become like a drop in the ocean. If the drop is outside the ocean, it's always frightened of the sun because it will dry it. It doesn't know what to do, which way to slip, which way to move. But once it is one with the ocean, it just moves and enjoy, because it's not alone. It's not alone. It's moving with the waves of that beautiful ocean of joy. And that is what you have achieved, of which you are aware, you know, but you don't know you have achieved it because you are the spirit. Now you should be on the watch. about yourself sometimes, and you'll be amazed to see how you are changed, how you have become so simple and sensible and wise. So many problems come in the West because they are still stupid, I think, very stupid people. Because even an old man of 80 years would like to marry a lady of, say, 20 years, and he doesn't understand why he's doing it. Because he doesn't accept his age. He doesn't accept that I'm an old man, I must behave like an old man. He wants to marry a girl who can be his granddaughter. This is more common in the West. They always think like that. Any young girl they see, they think they should marry that girl. They may be just on their way to the grave, but doesn't matter. They want to have a wife like that. This is the problem of the West. Now, how does it come? Because they don't understand that we are old, and to be old is to be proud. Now, when I was 5 years, I cannot imagine so many people could have come to wish me a happy birthday. Even when I was 50 years, there were not so many people. Now when I am 75, see how many people are there to wish me happy birthday. When you are old, you should be proud of your age, if you have lived wisely. But if you have been stupid, then of course nobody can help. Everybody will laugh at such a person, but they will do the same thing. There's a custom in the West to go on having wives after wives, divorcing your wife and this. In India it's the other way round, I should say. They don't have much respect for the women. They were supposed to have great respect for women. They were supposed to have placed their women at the pedestal of a sati. And even if the woman may be anything, they don't respect. Now, this is from where it has come. I don't know. Some of them say that it's written by some poet, that woman should be beaten up. I mean, who is this poet? He should be beaten up, I think, first of all. He was born out of a woman. And here he writes like this. So, you see, we like to take up something which is wrong, which is absolutely absurd. This comes because you are not wise. A wise person will take in whatever is the wisdom. He won't accept anything nonsensical. You go on reading the books one after another, one after another. So many books you read, and where do you land up with that? You find you are reading books which are no good for you, useless. But if you are fond of reading, go on reading. So the lack of wisdom gives you indiscrimination. And you justify it. All that you justify, and you say, no, this is very good. Whatever I am doing is the best. It's not ego, I would say, but stupid human understand. Whatever I am doing is good. Whatever is my attitude is good. How dare anybody tell me anything that this is wrong, that is wrong. Everybody will laugh at that person, make fun of that person. Such a person will suffer a lot, everything. But he will never accept that I have done something wrong. So when you go beyond dharmati, you become, go beyond dharma, then what happens? That dharma becomes part and parcel. You don't do wrong things. You just don't do it. It's not that somebody is telling you or you want to follow it or there is compulsion or you are disciplined. But you just don't like to do wrong things, to say something which is not respectful, which is not helpful, which is not loving. This is the quality of a Sahaja-yogi, where you become the spirit. Becoming the spirit, you don't have to tell anybody. So obvious, so evident, and one can see that. And the more you go deep into yourself, you find that you are endowed with such greatness within you, such beautiful feelings, such nice things within you, that you overcome the ego of others. I must tell you a story. Once I went to see a saint. So the Sahajogi said, Mother, you never go and see these gurus and this and that. So why do you? I said, you come along with me. So we had to climb a lot. I said, from here you see his vibration. First you see his vibration. Lots of vibrations come. So we went up the hill, climbed up. And this gentleman was supposed to have powers that he could control the rain. And it started raining, and raining very heavily. And I got completely drenched in that rain. When I went up, I saw him sitting on a stone, just shaking his head with anger or I don't know what. So I went into his cave and sat down. So he came back. And he said to me, Mother, why didn't you allow me to stop the rain? Is it to overcome my ego? I said, no, not that. I didn't see your ego anywhere. But the problem is another. You are a sannyasi, you are one who are an ascetic, you bought a sari for me. Now if you bought a sari for me, I can't take from you because you are a sannyasi. So I had to get drenched so that I will have to borrow sari from. And the whole thing melted away. He became a very different person. So with wisdom, you know how to handle different types of people. You say things by which you melt their ego. Their conditionings also are brought into a kind of a new awakening with it. They see in you that wisdom, that love, that expression of, I should say, your spirit. And that's how so many saints, though they were tortured and troubled by many, but they were definitely very much respected and loved. But those saints in those days, I must say, were definitely very nice and good people. But one thing was there, they were rather strict and disciplining with their disciples. The reason was that they were not realized souls, their disciples. And these gurus thought that unless and until you discipline these people, they'll never rise. They'll never become something great. So they are to be disciplined. And those who were seekers of truth accepted. All right. Whatever you say, we'll do. Even if you ask us to fast, we'll do. They'll stand on their heads, all right, stand on our head. Do what you say, I will be willing to do it. You don't have to worry on that point. And that's how they were very disciplining type. But in Sahaja Yoga, there's no discipline taught. The reason is you are realized souls. Your spirit is there and the spirit gives you the light. In that light you see yourself so clearly and you can discipline yourself. I don't have to tell you. You know that so many people have given up drugs overnight. But I never told them, I never even talked about drugs or anything. And how did they do it? Because they had the light. And this is what is you have got today in the light of the Spirit. You become absolutely independent and absolutely free, complete freedom, because you have the light. You cannot do wrong things. Supposing now there is light and there is some sort of a big explosion taking place. I won't run towards the explosion. No, you won't run either, because you have got the eyes. So the Spirit and its light is the greatest guiding factor by which you become, as I said, Gunatit. You become Kalatit, and you become Dharmatit. You are not slave of anything. You are not slave of your watch. You are not slave of time. You are not slave as to what is your gunas. You don't want to see whether you are right-sided, left-sided or center. You are a Sahajogi. And a Sahajogi is beyond all these things. So you are Gunatit. You are Dharmatit because Dharma becomes part and parcel of you. You don't have to follow any disciplining of Dharma. I have seen in Sahaja, in some of the ashrams, they are very strict. That should not be so. I have told them never to be strict. If somebody doesn't get up at, say, 4 o'clock, doesn't matter. Let him get up at 10 o'clock. After some time, he himself will get up at 4. But don't try to discipline them too much. Children also, you should not discipline too much. Of course, if they are realized souls, they themselves are so good, they are so beautiful. But if they are not, try to give them realization. Once you realize that those who are not realized are making all these mistakes, that they are in the darkness, your attitude towards them will change. You will just try to be extremely patient and kind and affectionate and loving. Because you will know that person is not realized. He has got his eyes, he can't see, he is blind, he can't hear, he can't feel the reality. So first let him feel the reality. What's the use of giving him a lecture and disciplining? Still he will go on making mistakes and troubling himself or troubling others. So this is what you have achieved through your enlightenment, that you are beyond all this. And you become a person of a temperament which is so loving and so joyful. I mean, it's so many examples I can give in Sahaja. It has happened that I have seen the beauty of their love and affection. Not only towards me, but only towards others also. Only if it is only towards me, I can explain it. But I can't explain the way they are kind to people, as I told you yesterday, that these people went to Israel, now they went to Egypt, they went to Russia. Who told them? I never asked anybody to go anywhere. On their own they felt they have to go and do this job, and they have to help people to get out of their ignorance. So today, on such a day, when you are celebrating my 75th birthday, and so many balloons are there. They are very remarkably, very picturesque and have colors of different types expressing your love for me. In everything I see your love. Whatever you have done here, all your decorations, everything, I feel my children are so loving. I have done nothing for you. I don't know what makes you feel such gratitude. I still want to know what have I done. I have done nothing. But the way you want to express your love is very surprising, except for, I would say that you got the light of your spirit. In that light, might be you see something different in me, but the way you are showing your gratitude is really beyond. As the other day, one of the speakers said that you don't thank your mother, take her for granted. It's a fact. There's no need to thank me, you have to take me for granted. But the way you want to thank me, just like a small little child would like to thank, just become like children. You're so enthusiastic about it, and you don't understand that normally is not done like this anywhere. Nobody tries to be just like children expressing their beautiful love. It's a very new thing that one can see. Such peace, such love, such joy all around in a far-fetched place like this. How could you do that? How could you manage that? It's not easy to understand. It's not for human beings to see that. They just don't understand how these people are like this and why are they living like this so happily. Now you have comforts in the house. You are living so well in your houses. Everything is there, but here in this scout ground, it's not such a comfortable place to live. But you can live anywhere, I know, I've seen it. Wherever you are, as long as there are Sahajogis around, you don't care for anything. And this collective enjoyment of each other, without any expectation, without any criticism, without any gossip or any nonsense like that, is so beautiful. And even when you pull each other's legs, I enjoy your jokes and understand. That is such friendship, such beautiful friendship. Whether you are from India or from England or from America or from any other place, you find this such oneness of understanding, oneness of movement. Like one wave rises and another wave rises, another wave rises. It's continuous, eternal. And this is what one has to achieve for others also. For that also must remember that you have the light others don't have. So you have to be very considerate, tolerant and understanding about their problem. And just listen to them. What is their problem? First they'll tell you that my business is going down, or they might say that my wife is no good, or my son has no job, he is not working, all kinds of things they might tell you. Listen to them. For them it is important. All right. After that, you will find gradually, you see, they'll soothe down. Because you are emitting love. You are emitting joy. You are emitting confidence through your spiritual awakening. You have those powers. You just stand anywhere and you can create peace in that place. You can create happiness in that place. So be confident. Don't lose your confidence. Also, your wisdom to understand others will be very much convincing for other people to understand that they are something exceptional. They don't get angry, they don't get into temper, they are not mad people, they are not after some sort of a craze, just very, very balanced people. And this, you don't have to practice, it is there. It is within you and you should be proud of it. You should not think that it is something that you have to achieve or to become. You have it. Within yourself, you have it. Only thing that you have to see in the light of the Spirit yourself. It just is a very simple thing and that works out. It is not easy for others to understand you, but it should be very easy to understand them because you were like that before and now they are seeing you and they will become like. It's very simple. You can see this, that I started Sahaja Yoga with one lady. And now today, see how many are there. Now what have I done? I really don't know. What have I done? I have no idea. And what you think, such gratitude and enjoyment and joy. So all these things, whatever I have told you, you have to be aware of your being, of your own self, of your spirit. That you are the spirit. And as you are the spirit, You are beyond all these things. And once that happens, you will be amazed. What a personality you are. आज इसलिए अंग्रेजी में बातचीत करी कि हमेशा मैं हिंदी में ही आप लोगों से बातचीत करती हूँ, लेकिन जो इनसे बात कही वो आप लोगों को समझ में आई होगी। वो ये है कि जब आपके आत्मा का प्रकाश आपके अंदर फैलता है तो आप में 3 विशेषताएं हो जाती कि आप जानते हैं आपके अंदर तमोगुण, रजोगुण और सत्वगुण 3 गुण हैं। तमोगुण जिसमें होते हैं उनका एक स्टाइल होता है, रजोगुण जिसमें होता है उनमें एक स्टाइल होता है, और फिर जब दोनों चीज़ों से ऊब के वो सत्वगुण में उतरते हैं कि जहाँ पर आप सोचते हैं कि अब हमें ये तो कुछ बेकार की चीज़ें हैं, अब हमें खोजना है। जब खोज शुरू हो जाते तब आप सत्वगुण में उतरते, और सत्वगुण में उतरने पर फिर आप खोजते हैं, और खोजने पर जब आप पा लेते हैं तो आप इन तीनों चीज़ों से उठ जाते हैं। इसीलिए कहते हैं कि ऐसा इंसान गुणातीत, कालातीत और धर्मातीत हो जाता है। उसका कोई विशेष धर्म नहीं होता, वो जो भी करता है वो धर्म ही करता है, अधर्म कर ही नहीं सकता। उसका स्वभाव ही में, स्व माने आत्मा, आत्मा का भाव स्वयं ही एक ऐसा हो जाता है कि जो उसको एक विशेष रूप का आनंद, एक विशेष रूप की शांति और एक विशेष व्यक्तित्व देते हैं। उसके कारण वो सबको शांत, सबको सुखी, सबको आनंद देने वाला हो जाता। हो सकता है कभी आपका प्यार जो है वो लोग नहीं समझ पाए, उसका गलत इस्तेमाल करें, हो सकता, पर उसमें आपको बुरा नहीं लगता। आप यही सोचते हैं कि अभी अनजान समझ नहीं पा रहे, अभी इनकी समझ में कमी। आप कुछ भी उसके प्रत्युत्तर में आप बोलते नहीं, आप देखते रहते हैं कि चलो ठीक है, ऐसे है ना, कल ठीक हो जाए। यह आशा आपके अंदर बन जाती है कि जैसे हम थे तो आज हम यहाँ आकर खड़े हो गए, कल ये भी हमारे साथ यहीं आकर खड़े जाए। अब आप इतने लोग हैं, सिर्फ ईसा मसीह के 12 शिष्य थे और न जाने उनको कितने क्रिश्चियंस बनाए। कोई किसी को रियलाइजेशन नहीं दिया और क्रिश्चियन बना दिया। आप तो रियलाइजेशन दे सकते, आपको सबको यही काम करना है अब कि जिसको देखो उसको रियलाइजेशन दे, आपके सारे प्रश्न से छूट जाए और एक नया तरह का व्यक्तित्व आपके अंदर आ जाएगा। एक बहुत बड़ा मनवंतर घटित हो रहा। मैं कहूँगी कि एक पुनरुत्थान के नई बेला आ गई। इसमें मनुष्य का परिवर्तन होना ही अत्यावश्यक है, नहीं तो मनुष्य की जो समस्या है वो ठीक नहीं हो सकती, उसका परिवर्तन होना चाहिए। और जब वो परिवर्तित हो जाता है तो इतना मंगल और इतना सुंदर हो जाता है, उसके सारे ही अंग प्रत्यंग जो भी जीवन के हैं उसके सारे प्रांगण में ही जैसे आके आनंद नाचता। ऐसे सौंदर्यमय और सुंदर जीवन को प्राप्त करने के लिए आपको कुछ करना नहीं, उसके लिए आपको पैसे नहीं देना है, कुछ नहीं करने, सिर्फ आप अपने अंदर बसे हुए शक्ति को जब जागरूक हो गई तो उसको जागरूक रखें और उसमें उतरते रहें। ये गहरे लोग हैं सहयोग में कुछ कुछ कि मैं स्वयं देखकर हैरान होती कि ये सारी गहराई इन्होंने कैसे एकदम से ले ली। उनके अंदर गहराई थी पर वो अंधकार में थी, अब वो जब प्रकाश में आ गए तो प्रकाशमय हो गए, सुंदर हो गए, मंगल हो गए। आप सबके लिए मैं क्या कहूँ, मेरे हृदय में बड़ा ही आंदोलन है कि मैं चाहती हूँ सारे ब्रह्मांड में जो भी शक्तियाँ हैं उसे आप प्राप्त करें। जो कुछ भी एक महान ऋषि मुनियों ने प्राप्त किया था वो आप प्राप्त करें, और संसार से भाग कर नहीं, समाज में रह के, संसार में रह के इसे आप प्राप्त करें। आज का शुभ दिवस है और आप लोगों ने इतने खुशी से मनाया, छोटे बच्चों जैसे सबने इतना प्यार दिया। क्या कहूँ मैं, मेरी तो समझ में नहीं आता, क्योंकि ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, और इसको समझने के लिए भी मैं तो सोचती हूँ कि बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा कि इतना प्यार आपने मुझे क्यों दिया, मैंने आपके लिए क्या किया, तो कुछ समझ नहीं पाती। मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं आपके लिए, या आप ही का प्यार है जो बढ़ता बढ़ता यहाँ तक पहुँच जाता है। आपके लिए बस मैं ये कहती हूँ कि इसी तरह से आप आगे बढ़ते जाइए, औरों को भी अपने समवेत मिलते जाइए, जो वो भी इस सुख की, इस आनंद की और इस महान व्यक्तित्व की एक जो घटना है उसे प्राप्त करें। अनंत आशीर्वाद।